Beneath the icy waters of the Baltic Sea lies one of the greatest maritime disasters in human history, yet few have ever heard its name. The tragedy of the Wilhelm Gustloff claimed more than 9,000 lives in a single night, more than the Titanic and Lusitania combined, but history nearly forgot it. The Wilhelm Gustloff was once a symbol of pride for Nazi Germany. Launched in 1937, it was named after a Nazi official assassinated in Switzerland and built as part of Hitler's propaganda program called Strength Through Joy. This was no warship. It was a luxury cruise liner meant to show the happiness of life under Nazi rule. The ship could carry 2,000 passengers, featuring swimming pools, grand dining halls, and polished wooden decks, a floating palace of German engineering and pride. But when war erupted in 1939, everything changed. The Wilhelm Gustloff was taken over by the German Navy, first serving as a hospital ship, later as a floating barracks. By 1945, Germany was collapsing. The Soviet Red Army was advancing from the east, and millions of German civilians were fleeing in terror from the approaching front. The horrors of war were closing in, and people desperately sought escape across the frozen Baltic Sea. In January 1945, the ship was loaded far beyond its capacity, more than 10,000 people packed into every hall, corridor, and deck. Refugees, soldiers, nurses, and families with children huddled together in the freezing cold, hoping this ship would carry them to safety. The mission was part of Operation Hannibal, one of the largest evacuations in history. But on the bitter night of January 30th, 1945, fate struck with brutal force. At 9:16 p.m., as the Wilhelm Gustloff sailed through the darkness, a Soviet submarine, S-13, commanded by Captain Alexander Marinesko, spotted her silhouette. To the Soviets, it was an enemy vessel, possibly carrying troops. Without hesitation, Marinesko fired 3 torpedoes. Each found its mark. The first tore through the bow, the second exploded near the swimming pool full of women and children, and the third hit the engine room, cutting all power. The ship plunged into total darkness. Panic erupted. People screamed, fought for air, trampled each other in the corridors. The temperature was below freezing, and ice covered the decks. Lifeboats were frozen in place. Within minutes, the proud liner began to tilt, sinking rapidly. Mothers clutched their children. Soldiers tried breaking the ice to free the lifeboats. Many jumped into the Black Sea, only to perish in the freezing water. Within 40 minutes, the Wilhelm Gustloff disappeared beneath the waves. Out of more than 10,000 people aboard, only about 1,200 survived. The rest vanished into the cold, silent sea. It remains the deadliest shipwreck in recorded history. Yet, for decades, almost no one spoke of it. Why? Because it happened in the final months of World War II, when Germany was losing, and the world's focus was on Nazi crimes and Allied victory. The victims were German civilians, and few wanted to show sympathy for the nation that had caused such destruction. The Soviet Union, whose submarine had sunk the ship, also remained silent. The commander, Marinesko, wasn't even praised, his achievement buried by politics and secrecy. For years, the Wilhelm Gustloff was erased from history, remembered only by those who survived that night of horror. They spoke of the screams that faded into the dark, of the frozen lifeboats, of the ship's last horn before it disappeared forever beneath the ice. Today, the wreck of the Wilhelm Gustloff rests about 44 meters below the surface of the Baltic Sea, near Poland. It is now a protected war grave, a silent reminder of how war destroys not only armies, but entire generations of ordinary people. Divers who have visited the wreck describe it as hauntingly still, a ghost ship frozen in time. The story of the Wilhelm Gustloff is a chilling reminder that history is not just written by victors, it is also buried with the victims. A ship once built to showcase national pride became a symbol of human suffering and loss. And even though it's been decades, the cold Baltic still holds their memory. The thousands of voices silenced by war, resting in eternal darkness.